1.
Well, I'd like to talk to you today about the 4 things that are the foundation of truth, and that's morality, integrity, trustworthiness, and honesty. These are the things that will always be able to guide you. And let me define for you trustworthiness. When you pledge to take a sacred trust to defend and protect, and you breach this trust, it becomes a people afraid, and you create the same terror in people as these terrorists, and you can't point fingers. Integrity is when you know to do the right thing even when nobody else is watching or you're not being paid to do so. That's integrity. Honesty is being honest to yourself, being honest in your deeds, that your deeds follow your heart, and that you act upon those deeds. And I guess I should also bring up bravery. Being brave, not everybody has the ability to stand up and against, but everybody has the ability to do something. Someone's seen something, someone knew something, but when they don't feel trustworthiness to tell the forces that can fight it, I have to speak to these people who are causing greater harm, and the innocence that you are victimizing. It's not like you're taking a fight with the people that can take the fight. And the people that can take the fight say, so bring it on. But you are cowardly. You're not taking on my men and women. And as I'm talking to the Rangers right now, to 101, to the military, and then ask yourselves why you can't take this fight. Because you're not seeing the elephant in the room, on who keeps on baiting this conflict, inciting the separation, us and them. ISIS is a people, but there's a spirit behind it that has no moral conviction that it would attack opportunity. So how do we address that? Ask yourselves what you're not seeing and what you're doing to participate and what you're not doing. I'm not hearing the head of the FBI talking to the world on how many attacks we've thwarted, or I'm not hearing the head of the military, and I know how many attacks we've thwarted. I know that there's been over 48 in the last 6.5 months, networks that we've actually broken. I know that we've got the upper hand on ISIS in Iraq. I know that we're winning the battle, but the world doesn't know that. I mean, and it's not just our fault, it's that we're not getting airtime. It's better for the news agencies to get the airtime to, talk about the sensationalism on how many people died, but do they talk about how many people we've thwarted, how many people we've stopped, how many people we've, stopped? Because I say kill is an intent, and all we are doing is trying to protect others from being harmed and stop greater harm from happening. And that needs to be spoken. They need to understand that aspect of it. It shouldn't be an us and them. And our services are overwhelmed. Okay, the lower forces of our services, like yes, the military gets called whenever it goes to this level, but the lower services of our forces, the police services, they are not properly trained to be able to handle these circumstances and situations, and they are not cooperating. When there is a separation amongst the people who defend and protect the country, and that includes our politicians who have upheld to protect and serve the people, but you have made laws that actually take away, and give opportunity to opportunists. You have taken from the spirit of life. The spirit of life gives to life. The simple analogy, the difference between good and evil. One takes and the other gives. Let's pray to the one that gives life, that has the authority and power to defend us, because he will empower those who defend us. That is what I'm saying to my men and women. You are lacking faith right now, and it is because they are overwhelmed. And every time an attack, a terrorist attacked, and they are blindsided, they're looking elsewhere or they're busy where else, they always question themselves to what could have they done more. And so I'm not trying to demoralize them. I'm trying to tell them, you have to be more due diligent. You have to be stronger. You have to be more courageous. And you have to be braver and smarter. And you have to get on the network. The whole reason I wrote Free EMC, I was trying to say the war is on social media. So here's something people can do. You don't have to be the ones, you have to get trained like the ones that carry the gun. But you can be on the internet, going through the social media. I just recently learned that bin Laden's son has stepped forward and said that he was going to take revenge and retaliation for his father's death. And I'm the one that outed where bin Laden's son is. So of course, I know that I too, it's the same as with bin Laden himself. Yes, I know the risk it has put my own life, but you see that? I have no fear of death. I have the faith of God and the power. I'll give you an example of what faith can do. The other day, I would have been attacked by a man, and I put myself in a very vulnerable position because I was vulnerable, and I had my head down, and I was so full of despair after I did the last video where I was talking to America, and my country was being destroyed by being separate, and it's against separate we do, fall. United we do stand. And here's something I want to speak about. If you want justice, we have a justice department, but we have something greater, and that's the Constitution. And by the 14th Amendment, if you can prove that these services do not have the training or the ability, and that or the skills, and that because of that, they have caused death or harm, your civil liberties have been breached, and you can either take it to civil court, or you can go to the FBI Civil Services, and these people can be charged. If you want justice, go to school and look up the Constitution and all the amendment rights, and challenge it in the courts, and challenge your Justice Department that when you voted for your president, you voted for each of these people he puts into power, the Attorney General, the Defense Minister, the Secretary of State, and if they are not doing their services and jobs, we the people have the right. But we need lawyers that represent the people's rights. We need to uphold the Constitution, and you need to uphold it by understanding it. And the reason I had come to Canada, Canada was a fresh and fertile land. The one thing we don't have is civil liberties. And we have legislators who are making laws, but they're not protecting the rights of certain citizens. I mean, up here, the origines, as I call them, the people who originate from this land, they are the greater being prejudiced against. And people, and most times it goes to self. You were an invading species that came into another people's land, and of indigenous people. This happened around the world. And when Confucius said the coming of the end of civilization as you know it, then you all must look at who is the greatest influence, and that's democracy. And it's funny that I'm going to speak just a little bit about China. And the World Court, The Hague, which is a puppet court, and I agree, it was created after war, had decided that they didn't have a right to their territorial sea. They built an island out of an ocean. Sort of tells me that they might have created this world.